So yesterday I was at the Chelsea Flower Show on press day and I had a really, really good time. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was how the new sort of trend in garden design with regard to embracing weeds and natural wildflowers will affect you in reality. Because let's face it, all of the gardens that you see at any of the professional flower shows are created and grown by professional horticulturalists. Even the weeds that they have and the wildflowers are grown by professional horticulturalists, which means that they're perfect and they're well behaved and they do what the designers want them to do in the garden. Now, if you've listened to some of my podcasts and read some of the information on my website, you'll know that I've been advocating a different approach for a couple of years now, where probably the best way to describe it is that I talk about refereeing a garden. And what that means in reality is that I allow plants I haven't bought into the garden. I'm trying to allow nature to create its own balance. But I still need to referee the garden. I still need to make sure that there are some plants that I don't want to have in there and are removed, or if they are in there, they're not causing everything else a problem. So anyway, I wanted to show you what my garden looks like. So I'm just walking down past my house at the minute and I'll flip the screen round and show you what I mean by refereeing the weeds. So this is part of my garden. And I have as you can see, I have it's fairly full planted. There's my patio, and if I just flip round, I have an olive tree over to my rather shaggy topiary leopard, which will need some work later on this spring. But I'm here to talk about underplanting. Now, one of the things I wanted to create in my space here was this feeling that I was immersed in nature, that I was surrounded by plants, and it's taken quite some time to get there. And the only way it actually has got there is with this approach of me just being more relaxed about weeds. So if I show you my garden a little bit closer up, you'll see the alliums are just about to come out, as are some foxgloves. Those have self-seeded. And I've got some geraniums coming out, but also one of the in-plants of this year are buttercups. And you'll see them all over Chelsea. There are some of the naturalised geums that I didn't put those in, but they add to the garden. So this is what weeds look like if you referee them. So I've got the alliums all coming up, and I've got my echinops which will flower later this year, which are really lovely. But if we come closer and you look down in amongst everything, you'll see that yes, there are weeds in the garden, what a lot of people would class as weeds. Now, my rule for this particular plant here is that if they start taking over plants, or in the instance that they start taking over other areas, then I will referee them. So for example, underneath my swing seat, the hawkeyes amongst you will spot, yep, there's ground elder. Now, if the ground elder migrates out, I will deal with it. But at this point in time, I won't. So again, you can see here, these are some beautiful irises that will come up there. They're a golden yellow colour. So I really look forward to them coming up in the year. But again, I've got roses, and I've actually got a Millennia in there as well, which comes up. But again, this whole area has been filled. There's dead nettle. There's actually, you can see in there, there's dock. Now, dock is one of the ones I don't really want to have. And I do have things, obviously, like bindweed coming up. But I'll simply yank it out from where it's damaging the plants that I don't want it to damage. And bindweed flowers are actually quite attractive. It's just that they're rather invasive. So the docks, for example, when I will just keep yanking those and cutting them, but I'm not going to spend my life trying to get down there and dig. So it's a much more relaxed approach to gardening. But I think you can see that what it creates is this tapestry of planting if you allow things to just have their ability to find a space. Now, except some of you may not like that you like order. But this is where I think people need to change slightly your viewpoint of what the garden is and does. Now for me, I'll show you just round here on the path. Oh, that's my son's golf net, by the way. He's a bit of a golfer. So it used to be, that was the area, used to have the playhouse, and then we had the trampoline, and now it's got a golf net. So it just shows you gardens evolve over time. Anyway, this is, oh yes, and the golf hole. But this is my really untamed part of the garden. This acer tree, by the way, which is beautiful, it's my favourite plant in the garden. I bought this as one of those tiny little trees, you know, that you get in the garden centre, and I think it was in a pot. It was about £10 about 20 years ago, and I've just let it grow very naturally, and it's just turned into the most beautiful plant. Anyway, aside from that, this was the first area of the garden that I decided to let nature do its thing, and I just referee it. So I wanted to create a space that nature had in my garden that I didn't interfere with. So I don't really do much in this space here. I just let it grow. I do come in and trim things like this Philadelphus, so that we get the lovely lush lime green foliage in the spring. But I wanted to leave the ground undisturbed so that if I've got hedgehogs and dormice or field mice or whatever, they have a very safe place to be. I did find a toad in here as well at one point. So you can see I don't have, everything is very, very, very full. There isn't soil. And if there's one thing I think you need to take from how planting is being adapted and changing, come back from that lilac flower, this year, is that soil, exposed soil, is not a good thing to have. But it does mean that your garden looks more natural if you let it go like this. But that's something you have to adapt to. This is I suppose, my little urban jungle. Now, I'll show you here. This is where I've got to come and referee, because what my mother calls goose grass, you know, the sticky burr grass, this one is beginning to take control. So that will come out. I'll just give it a yank and get rid of it. But the rest of it can stay as is.